Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources, could be articles, research notes, whatever you send us, and we really pull out the key insights.
Yeah, trying to get to the core of it.
Exactly. And today we're diving into something pretty fascinating, almost a paradox, really. How has Beyoncé, like one of the biggest global stars imaginable, built this huge $800 million empire?
Right.
And done it without doing all the usual celebrity stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the constant interviews, being on social media 24/7, the big press tours.
None of that. Source material nails it, doesn't it? No press tours, no comment, no chaos, just pure precision.
Just precision. It's wild.
It really is remarkable. I mean, you've got most artists just yelling, trying to get heard, right, in this like super crowded digital space. And she's actively cultivating silence. It's not just about, managing fame. It's strategic. It's total control.
Control of the narrative, the money.
The legacy, everything. Imagine getting to Forbes' $800 million estimate, not by like chasing the spotlight, but by making your absence felt, creating an echo.
That's the heart of it, yeah. So for you listening, our mission today is really to unpack this puzzle. How did she build this massive thing by revealing almost nothing? And
maybe the bigger question, what can her strategy, which is so counterintuitive, right? What can it teach us about power, especially now, in this world that's always on, always loud? We're definitely going deeper than the music today. We're exploring what one source calls the blueprint of her strategic genius. Yeah, and by the end of this, you should have like a shortcut to understanding this really unique model of success. Expect some aha moments, definitely. Right. Because we're going to unpack some really actionable stuff here. How control, how being intentional, how strategic silence can be these incredibly powerful tools. Maybe you're not building a music empire. Probably not. Probably not, right? But these principles apply, in your career, your life choices. It's kind of a masterclass in like strategic living. Okay, let's unpack this blueprint then. Starting with the money side, her financial mindset. It seems pretty clear from everything we read. For Beyoncé, money wasn't really about the flash, was it? Not about showing off wealth. No, that's absolutely key. For a lot of people, wealth means luxury, showing it off. But for her, the sources are clear. It was about power. The power to choose, the power to say no and have it not, impact her negatively. Liberation. Liberation, exactly. And this wasn't something she learned late in the game. This was early, really early. Think about it. She was just 23, 2004. Yeah. She makes this decision that just like stuns the industry, something most people wouldn't even dream of doing. She fired her father, Matthew Knowles, as her manager. Wow. At 23? I mean, that's your own father, who basically launched your career with Destiny's Child. Right. The emotional weight of that, the courage it must have taken seems, almost unbelievable. For most people, yeah, it would be purely emotional. Yeah. A huge personal thing. But the way the material frames it, for her, it was strategic, purely strategic. Oh. She said later, something like, "It took a lot of courage, but I had to trust my instincts." That moment wasn't just personal. It was a strategic pivot. It changed everything about her position in the industry. How so? It marked her shift, her transformation from just being the performer, the talent, to becoming the proprietor, the owner. She wasn't just the star anymore. She was running the show. Exactly. Yeah. In the driver's seat. Yeah. Making the calls for her whole future. And that owner mindset, that led pretty quickly to Parkwood Entertainment, right? Early in the solo career. Yep. And this wasn't just like, oh, I need my own company name. It sounds much more deliberate, like what the sources call vertical integration. Was that seen as, super risky back then? I mean, artists usually rely on big labels. Oh, it definitely went against the grain. Yeah. The sources really emphasized Parkwood wasn't just a nameplate. The goal, right from the start, was ambitious. Self-produce everything. Albums, world tours, films, documentaries. The whole package. The idea wasn't just, I want to star in this. It was, I want to own the stage, the cameras, the lighting, the final edit. Total control over the whole chain. The entire value chain, yeah. Yeah. From the first idea to getting it out there. Yeah. Capturing all those revenue streams that artists usually just, sign away to other companies. It gave her a huge advantage. And that control, that focus on ownership, it's clearly worked. Forbes is estimating, $800 million by 2025? Around that, yeah. But the how is what gets me. It wasn't the typical celebrity playbook, was it? Not even close. The sources really highlight this. She didn't chase endorsements like everyone else does. Right. She didn't rely on like going viral on TikTok for quick relevance. She was about quick wins, easy money. Not at all. So what was it then? Every single move was an investment. An investment in autonomy.
in owning her work. Her income streams, yeah, they're diverse, but they're all built around ownership.
Like owning her masters. Owning her masters, which is huge. Most artists sign those rights away to labels for an advance. She kept them. Controls the long-term money from her recordings.
Okay.
Controls her image rights. And her company, Parkwood, owns the distribution for her documentaries like Homecoming.
So the money just flows back into her system.
Exactly. This structure, it's meticulous. Every dollar generated goes right back into her own ecosystem. It just builds and builds her financial power quietly.
And now we're seeing that ownership strategy push into products too, right? Ivy Park and now Cécred, the hair care line. That feels like another big step.
It absolutely is. And Cécred especially. It's described as more than just products. It's a generational statement.
How so?
The source is, quote, her intent. This is for us, by us, and we don't need permission to be premium. It's not just launching a brand. It's planting a flag. Owning a narrative within Black culture. Saying luxury and heritage belong together on her terms.
While also building another business pillar.
Exactly. Diversifying her portfolio, strengthening her financial base, strengthening her cultural influence, and all while keeping total control. Creative control, business control. It's powerful.
But this much control, this discipline.
Yeah.
It can't be easy. There must be an emotional cost, right? Especially after something like splitting with her father professionally. Or just the pressure of it all.
Oh, for sure. The sources do acknowledge the emotional side, the scars, especially from that break with her father. She didn't talk about it publicly for years.
Right.
But what's fascinating is how she responded. When she finally did process it, it wasn't in interviews. It was through her art, an entire album, basically, not press conferences.
Through the work itself.
Yeah. That silence itself became symbolic. The material says Beyoncé doesn't argue, she releases. She turns pain into albums, betrayal into visuals, tension into control. It's almost exactly like her financial discipline, isn't it? Managing, meaning just like she manages money. Always on her terms.
It really feels like she's building something bigger than just, a nice life for herself. The sources say Beyoncé builds for legacy, not lifestyle. And that line in her song Boss, my great-great-grandchildren already rich. That's not just bravado, is it? It sounds literal.
It's described exactly like that, estate planning. A very real, intentional strategy for wealth that lasts generations.
Wow.
And it's tangible. She's got major real estate assets. That $88 million mansion in Bel Air is mentioned, plus equity in tech startups, entertainment ventures. It's a diverse portfolio way beyond music.
But you don't see her tweeting about stock tips.
No way. Her strategy is explicitly long-term, low visibility, and deeply intentional. It's about wealth that endures, not wealth that makes headlines today.
So bringing it all together, what's the deep logic here? It's not about the private jets.
It's about private decisions. That's the paradox she's mastered, isn't it? The less you show, the more control you have. Financial freedom for her isn't about buying flashy things. It's the freedom to make decisions privately, to say no, to walk away if something doesn't align, without consequences.
And that kind of wealth, it just grows quietly.
Grows in silence. It doesn't swing up and down based on likes or headlines. It's built on this foundation of deliberate, unseen choices, making her powerful in a really deliberate way, not just a loud way.
So if her freedom is about the power to choose, the power to say no, that makes you think, doesn't it, for you listening? When you think about your own money or maybe your project budgets, are you using it just for comfort? Or are you using it to buy clarity, to buy the power of choice?
Yeah. Are you just the performer in your own financial story?
Yeah.
Or are you the producer? Strategically shaping things, building assets that last? It's a good question to ask.
Okay, let's shift from the money philosophy to her wider career strategy, because she just operates differently while everyone else is desperately trying to feed the algorithm.
She disappears.
Yeah, our sources say she disappears.
It's totally counterintuitive, right? But it's one of her signature moves. A bold move against how the industry usually works. Remember this self-titled album, Beyoncé? December 2013.
Oh, yeah. That was wild.
No warning, zero PR, no teasers, nothing. It just landed on iTunes at midnight with no promotion. Just boom, there it was.
And it exploded.
Sold, 828,773 copies in just 3 days. Astonishing numbers with zero traditional buildup. And that wasn't just a successful launch. The source calls it a revolution.
Yeah.
A revolution in how music could be marketed, how it could be monetized. It completely changed the game for major releases.
It really did set a new precedent. And then you fast forward to 2023, the Renaissance World Tour. Same kind of refined strategy, huge success, over $579 million gross revenue.
Broke Madonna's record. Highest grossing tour ever by a female artist.
Incredible numbers. But again, the real story isn't just the numbers, it's how she did it.
Exactly. The real story is her role, executive producer, through Parkwood. Our sources stress this. She oversaw every element. Stage design, lighting, down to crew contracts, everything.
So it wasn't just show up and perform.
Not at all. It was a fully controlled, vertically integrated cash machine.
Yeah.
Completely different from artists who are just performing under a label structure. She owns the whole thing. Concept, design, operations, the money flow.
Which means maximum control, maximum profit.
And creative alignment, yeah.
This really sounds like she's systematically cutting out the middlemen, just aggressively making sure the money flows back to her.
That's exactly what it looks like. Licensing her own work, negotiating directly with streaming platforms, sometimes releasing exclusively on platforms where she has a stake, like Tidal.
Right, leveraging her investments.
Yeah. She refuses to just hand over distribution to someone else. She's built this model where, like the source says, every dollar flows back into her own ecosystem. She doesn't just want a slice of the pie. She wants the whole bakery, owns the art and the economics.
Which brings us to maybe her most underrated career strategy, as the sources put it, restraint. She's hardly ever on red carpets, doesn't post endless selfies, hasn't done that whole celebrity interview circuit in, over a decade. Why? In a world demanding constant presence, why the absence?
It's fascinating, isn't it? The analysis in our sources is sharp.
Yeah.
Every appearance dilutes value unless it's intentional.
Okay. Dilutes value.
Think about it. Everyone's constantly putting content out there, fighting for eyeballs. Her scarcity makes her appearances mean something. When she does show up, a big documentary like Homecoming, a visual album, that curated Vogue shoot, it's not just content, it's an event.
Right. People pay attention because it's rare.
Her absence creates this gravity, so when she does appear, it hits harder, resonates more deeply.
And this discipline, it's not just her public image, it's in her business deals too, right? Like Ivy Park. That brand's had a few twists and turns.
It has. Started with Topshop, then there was that public fallout with Topshop's owner, allegations and whatnot. And she quietly bought full ownership of her part.
Okay, took control.
Then the huge Adidas partnership.
Yeah.
Massive deal. But then she ended that too. Why? Full creative control.
Ah.
The sources suggest the Adidas model may be too focused on fast fashion volume, didn't quite match her long-term vision for Ivy Park as like a premium equity-driven thing.
So the lesson.
She didn't scale through hype. She scaled through ownership. And when the values didn't match up, she walked. No big public drama, no press release needed. Right. Just done. Shows that commitment to her vision over just quick cash or validation.
So it really is fair to say she treats her career like building infrastructure, not just chasing fame.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
It's equity, not exposure. Sustainability, not spectacle.
Yeah.
Building a portfolio of power.
Exactly. She's not just reacting, chasing the next hit. She's making long-term investments in her IP, her companies, her brand's core value. Every decision gets weighed. Does this build lasting value and control? Or just temporary buzz? It's fundamentally different. She's building an enterprise, not just having a career.
But that kind of power, that extreme privacy, it must come at a cost in terms of perception. Our sources mentioned she was labeled distant, too calculated, private. Journalists complained. Critics called her robotic.
Yeah, and that raises that interesting point about perception versus strategy. What they missed, maybe, as the sources argue, is that Beyoncé is not withholding to be mysterious. It's not about creating mystique.
What is it about then?
She's withholding to preserve energy, vision, and focus. Think about how many artists burn out. Constant demands, overexposure. She fiercely protects her creative space, her strategic bandwidth, treats her career like a long-term investment, not a seasonal campaign. Her privacy isn't being aloof. It's strategic self-preservation for the long haul.
Which leads to that really powerful idea the sources hit on. Beyoncé's restraint is not absence, it's architecture. Her silence is not distance, it's direction.
It's almost like her operating motto, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sums up her whole approach. There's that quiet quote from her. Don't talk about what you're going to do it, and then show them.
That's it right there.
That's her entire playbook in one sentence. While everyone else is announcing their next big thing on Instagram, she's just doing it, quietly executing. While others market, she manufactures. The product, the experience, the moment, and behind that discipline, This huge empire just quietly takes shape. Yeah. One deal, one decision, one deliberate no at a time.
So thinking about that, for you listening, it prompts the question, are you building a career just to get noticed right now? Or are you building something that will actually matter, that you'll control 10 years down the line? Are you chasing moments? Or are you making strategic moves? Yeah. Because that difference, it's everything for long-term success.
Let's get into her success habits now, her unique behaviors, because there's this operating system there driven by just this relentless pursuit of excellence. Mm-hmm. That homecoming clip comes up again, where she says, I pushed myself further than I ever thought I could, and I learned it's not about reaching perfection. It's about refusing to settle.
Yeah, and that quote, she said it during the prep for Coachella, right? 8 intense months. First Black woman headliner. Yeah. Huge pressure.
But it wasn't just about that one show. The sources are clear. That mindset, refusing to settle, that's her entire operating system. It's foundational. It drives everything.
And what does refusing to settle look like in practice? It sounds like an almost obsessive focus on detail. The stories about the homecoming prep are kind of legendary.
They really are. Rehearsing up to 16 hours a day. I mean, just the endurance required. Whoa. That strict no meat, no carb, no alcohol diet, just to be in peak condition. And then personally reviewing every camera angle, lighting cue, and vocal layer. Hours and hours of footage herself.
That's not vanity, is it?
It's precision. It's about hitting her own standards, the absolute highest artistic level she could imagine, not just what an audience expects or what's good enough for the deadline.
And this intensity, this discipline, it flows down through Parkwood, right? The Parkwood machine, they call it. It sounds incredibly demanding, like a pro sports team or something.
It does. Meetings start on time to the minute. Apparently rare in creative fields.
Huh.
No phones allowed during rehearsal. Total focus, feedback, direct, sometimes brutal. Mistakes are tracked, corrections are mandatory. And the key thing, the leader, Beyoncé herself, is the hardest on herself.
Sets the standard from the top.
Exactly. It creates this culture where excellence is just the baseline. Everyone, starting with her, is held to this incredibly high bar. It's relentless. Not necessarily chasing perfection, maybe, but absolutely refusing anything less than their best.
It also sounds like she has this daily practice, what the sources call the quiet grind, minimizing distractions, preserving mental energy, almost like a monk.
Totally. Limiting screen time, rarely posting on social media herself, spending hours in silence while creating. And again, it's not about disconnecting from the world. It's a deliberate practice to go deeper.
Deeper into
the work, the vision, into what she sees as her responsibility toward excellence. It's about protecting that internal creative space, keeping it clear from all the noise outside.
You could easily label that perfectionism, which can be paralyzing, right? But the sources draw a line here. They say her rigor isn't driven by fear, but by purpose.
That's a really important distinction. Perfectionism often comes from fear, right? Fear of failure, needing external approval. But her drive seems to be about honoring the craft, honoring her gift.
Not trying to please critics.
Or chase trends. It's about creating at the absolute highest standard she can conceive of. It's internal. It's about the art itself, the cultural statements she wants to make.
But that level of intensity, it has to take a toll. The sources mentioned she was open about burnout after her twins were born. She said, I had been living for my work instead of living. That hits home for a lot of people, I bet.
Oh, yeah. That awakening, as they call it, sounds like a huge turning point. It didn't mean lowering her standards, not at all. But it deepened her boundaries. Started saying no more often, delegating more, focusing only on projects that truly aligned with her values, not just her brand. It led her to redefine success itself. Not just nonstop productivity, but intentional creation. It really highlights needing self-preservation, needing that values alignment, even for someone that driven.
And even with that internal shift, the critics still often saw her as calculated or distant. But what they were missing, maybe, according to the sources, is that Beyoncé is not performing for applause.
Right.
She's performing for alignment with her own expectations, her own sense of legacy.
That's such a core insight into what drives her. She said it in LA. Success looks different for everyone. To me, it means peace. It means purpose. It means knowing I didn't waste my gift. It's not about the validation from outside. It's about that internal sense of stewardship, of her talent, her platform, aligning with her own values, fulfilling her own internal drive for excellence and impact.
It's such a different mindset in a world obsessed with instant feedback, likes, visible results. Her biggest projects take years. Her biggest decisions are quiet. Her pride seems to come from knowing she held nothing back. So what's the real habit behind her success?
It's got to be more than just work hard. It's deeper. It's described as the courage to raise your standards when no one is watching.
Then no one's watching.
Yeah. The willingness to get uncomfortable, to be alone with the work, to fail privately so you can rise publicly. That's the unseen stuff, the grind, the foundation that real lasting greatness is built on way before the spotlight hits.
Makes you wonder, doesn't it? How many great ideas, how many dreams just died because someone wasn't willing to put in that disciplined, unseen work? Because, talent gets you noticed. That gets you in the door.
But discipline builds your name.
Yeah.
Her name isn't just famous. It carries weight because it stands for consistency, meticulous execution every single time.
So for you listening, maybe the question is, what's the standard you hold yourself to? When nobody's looking, what's that hidden work you're doing? And are you willing to stick to it even when it's hard, exhausting, totally invisible? Because that's where the real work happens, isn't it? Not the one-off performance, but the daily grind when no one's clapping.
Okay, let's shift to her life philosophy, the decision-making framework behind all this. It seems to guide everything. There's that really telling moment in Homecoming. She's rehearsing for Coachella, clearly exhausted after having the twins, and she says, "I'm not just rehearsing for a show. I'm rebuilding myself."
Yeah, and while she was talking physically there about recovery and the insane demands, it points to something much deeper, doesn't it? About her identity, her direction, her whole philosophy. The sources really stress that for her, decisions aren't just about the career track. They're fundamentally about protecting herself, her energy, her core values. Her whole life has been public, right? From Destiny's Child onwards. But the sources argue the extraordinary thing isn't what we see. It's what she deliberately chooses not to show, this chosen secrecy. It feels like how she defines her space.
Absolutely. Rarely gives interviews, doesn't debate online, doesn't defend herself publicly when criticized. Instead, her works speak, her silence echo, and her boundaries define the perimeter of her life. And that's not passive, it's not aloofness. It's a very deliberate, powerful act of self-definition. Especially today, when everyone seems to overshare and react instantly. It's about owning her narrative.
And flowing from that seems to be this core principle for making decisions. Energy is sacred. Like, that's the golden rule.
It really seems to be. It means every yes must protect it. Every no must serve it. It seems to guide everything. Projects she takes on, public appearances, everything. The example of turning down the 2024 Super Bowl halftime show's pretty stark.
Yeah, that's huge. For most artists, that's the absolute peak, career defining.
Right, global stage. But for her, the sources say it was unnecessary. She chose family time instead. No big announcement, no explanation, no apologies, just didn't do it.
Right.
Something most would think is impossible to refuse.
It wasn't indifference then, it was
alignment. Alignment with her internal priorities, her values. Proving her choices are based on meaning, not just maximizing exposure.
So it seems she picks projects based on that meaning, playing the long game. And that long game, as you said, needs incredible restraint.
It's essential to her whole approach. Well, think about 2017, when she basically vanished for nearly a year during her twin pregnancy.
Right.
No concerts, no press, no tweets, just gone.
Yeah.
And the world didn't implode. Her team didn't freak out. Her fans didn't abandon her. Why? Because she'd spent years building not just a brand, but a rhythm.
A rhythm.
Yeah, a rhythm that doesn't need constant noise to survive, a rhythm that actually rewards depth over noise. That's radical today when everyone demands always on, but it shows the trust she's built, the anticipation.
This mastery of attention, using silence as a tool. It's really something else. She seems to fundamentally trust that meaning lasts longer than just momentum.
And it's not detachment, it's deep intentionality. She treats her resources, time, platform, voice as precious, limited things, operates with surgical precision. So what happens is she cultivates cultural velocity.
Cultural velocity.
The lasting influence that actually moves the culture over time.
Yeah.
Not just fleeting virality or buzz that's gone tomorrow. Like the sources say, if she shows up, it matters. If she speaks, it shifts something. That's not mystery. That's mastery. Scarcity amplifies impact. She gets that.
But living like that, the courage to say no, that must be heavy sometimes, right? Saying no to amazing opportunities, stepping back when you're at the top, trusting that being absent won't make people forget you.
Oh, absolutely. It takes a different kind of courage. The kind not built on ambition, but on self-trust. She said it herself in British Vogue. I've spent so many years trying to be the best performer, the best businesswoman, but now I'm more interested in being the best mother, the best woman, the best human.
That's not retreating from her career, though.
It's a recalibration, a profound shift in what success means to her, aligning with a deeper purpose. And the hidden truth the sources talk about, The most powerful decisions are the ones no one sees.
The ones that cost you status but give you peace.
Exactly. The ones that reduce applause but return alignment.
We live in such a yes culture, don't we? Yes to the hustle, yes to the spotlight, yes to everything. But Beyoncé, just by how she operates, she shows this powerful counter idea. Sometimes saying no is the ultimate strategy. It's how you define yourself, protect yourself.
Which brings it back to you, the listener. Are your choices aligned with who you really are, what you truly value? Or are they constantly being pulled by what the world expects? Because her empire wasn't built by being available 24/7, chasing every opportunity. It was built by being fiercely intentional. She didn't just run through every open door. She carefully chose which ones to close, which made the ones she opened that much more impactful.
Okay, let's explore this idea of power thinking and how she actually wields influence. That 2016 Super Bowl performance is a prime example. She steps out, black leather, dancers raising fists, channeling the Black Panthers. It wasn't just entertainment, it was a protest, a history lesson, a cultural reset, and boy, did it cause a stir.
Huge controversy, yeah. Strong reactions from all sides. And her response to all that noise?
Silence.
Silence. The sources state it flat out. She never explains. Why? Because for her, influence doesn't come from explanation, it comes from precision. The message was delivered, so visually potent, so clear in its intent, it didn't need her to get online and defend it. It just landed, sparked the conversation without her saying another word about it.
That's how she views power then. Not something to show off, but something to direct. Her brand isn't loud, it's loaded.
Loaded is the perfect word. Every visual, every lyric, every silence is layered with intention. She doesn't just tweet reactions, she curates experiences. She doesn't campaign like a politician. She codes her politics into the art.
Letting people experience it, debate it, absorb it.
Rather than just being told what to think. Yeah. And in doing that, she's really redefined celebrity influence for our time, moving it away from just reactive noise towards these deliberate, embedded statements within the work itself.
We see this too with that idea of cultural velocity versus just going viral. Lemonade, 2016. That wasn't just her story about infidelity. It instantly became this huge cultural moment about Black womanhood, healing, generational trauma.
Lemonade was a total masterclass in this. Multi-layered influence, cultural velocity in action. Every frame of the visual album was an archive of African-American history and emotional labor, packed with references, symbolism, history.
And she didn't do the usual hype machine.
No hashtags trending, no press tour explaining it all. She just dropped it and let the world interpret, debate, and transform the meaning. That allows the message to sink in deeper, resonate longer, have a real lasting impact, instead of just being a blip on the timeline.
And that impact works on different levels, right? Surface level, the beauty, the music, the perfection. But underneath, there's serious stuff. Racial politics, feminist critique, social legacy, all woven in.
She has this incredible knack for building narratives that enter people's hearts before they realize what they're thinking. It's subtle, but incredibly effective. And that kind of influence, it's not temporary, it's generational. It shifts perspectives, starts conversations that keep going long after the album drops. Makes her a really powerful force in shaping thought.
But navigating that, walking that line between silence and statement, icon and individual, pleasing the mainstream and staying true to your cultural roots, the stakes must be incredibly high. Every move watched, every silence picked apart, sometimes used against her.
It's a constant tightrope walk demanding huge conviction. But she keeps doing it, not because it's easy, but, as the sources suggest, because she believes in the power of representation done right and the responsibility that comes with her platform. That conviction lets her handle the scrutiny and stay focused.
And her influence goes beyond music, too, into this quieter institutional impact with things like Baygood, which often flies under the radar, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Baygood has funded scholarships, especially for Black students at HBCUs, supported disaster relief, like after Hurricane Harvey, helped food banks, championed maternal health programs, all with little publicity.
So these aren't just photo ops?
No, they're described as strategic, long-term investments in community and empowerment. Our sources say she's quietly building an ecosystem where her influence isn't just artistic. It's institutional. She's not just trying to be the loudest voice. She's building rooms, creating platforms, opportunities for others, especially for marginalized groups that maybe she had to fight to get herself.
Yeah.
That's real legacy building, long-term thinking.
That Vogue interview quote from 2020 sums it up perfectly. It's been important for me to create spaces where Black creatives feel safe, inspired, and celebrated. I'm intentional about using my platform to shift perception. That word again, intentional. It seems to be the key to everything.
It really does. She doesn't do influence the way the internet rewards it. Constant updates, quick reactions. She does it the way change demands. Slowly, deliberately, enduringly. Her influence has this weight, this staying power, because it's rooted in purpose, not just passing trends or public pressure.
Which brings us back to that central paradox. Her power seems to grow the more she steps back. The less she explains, the more closely we listen. The less she says, the more the message resonates.
It's her unique brand of genius, isn't it? She's not fighting for attention in the noisy marketplace. She controls the gravity of attention itself. Her strategic silence makes her eventual presence, her words, her visuals incredibly potent. It's a masterclass in commanding attention without constantly begging for it.
So thinking about your own platform, whatever size it is, social media, your voice at work, the projects you lead, it makes you ask, are you just using it to distract? Or are you using it to direct attention to something that matters? Because her example shows, real influence isn't about being everywhere all the time. It's about knowing exactly why you're showing up. And when you show up with that clarity, every word, every silence, every move can become unforgettable.
Okay, let's wrap up by looking at her crisis strategy and this incredible long-term game she plays. This might be one of the most revealing parts of her power. Remember 2014? That elevator video leaks. Solange confronting Jay-Z. Beyoncé standing silent, the internet just exploded.
Oh yeah, rumors everywhere, infidelity speculation, headlines analyzing every pixel, everyone waiting for Beyoncé to say something, anything.
And she said,
nothing, zero, no tweet, no statement, no comment, just silence. And then what's really remarkable is the response when it finally came 3 years later, 2016. Not with words, but with lemonade.
Right. The art itself was the response. An entire visual album, so personal, so raw, exploring betrayal, healing, Black womanhood. I didn't just address the rumors. It completely shifted the entire public narrative around the incident, her marriage, everything. She didn't confirm details. She processed the themes on her terms through poetry, dance, film, and continued silence on the specifics.
That's not just making art from pain. That's strategic transmutation, as the sources call it, turning this incredibly invasive public scandal into a cultural masterpiece. And a huge business success, too.
Huge. Lemonade hit #1, most streamed female album that year, 9 Grammy nominations, 1, 2. But beyond the stats, it's this incredible case study. Emotional intelligence meets brand control. She didn't just react to the chaos with a PR statement. She reframed it through art. She didn't deny the pain. She turned it into architecture. A powerful narrative that just dwarfed the original tabloid story. That's her crisis playbook. Absorb the chaos, then meticulously rebuild the narrative on her schedule.
And this pattern, it seems consistent, right? When she's challenged or criticized, she gets quieter, not louder. When misunderstood, she seems to just double down on her work, sharpen her focus, not try to appease everyone.
It's a hallmark of how she operates. When things get messy publicly, she doesn't jump in to correct the record immediately. She waits until the narrative returns to her terms. That's not passive, it's deeply strategic. Long game psychology. She understands that today's noise fades. But the truth, as she presents it later through her work, that's what sticks. That shapes the lasting story.
It implies she understands that time protects truth. A scandal is noise now, a fleeting headline. But given time, it just becomes raw material. Material she can then shape.
Exactly. The more disciplined the response, the more intentional the long-term actions, the more power you retain over the story history tells. Most celebs feel pressured to respond now, explain everything, often making it worse. She just plays differently. Her instinct isn't to speak, but to structure.
Structure the counter-narrative.
Build the art that reframes it. Let time pass. While others are fighting the news cycle day by day, she's building the context for the narrative she wants remembered. The one that lasts.
It's like how empires weather storms, isn't it? Not by flinching at every gust, but by absorbing the pressure, processing it, and using it to build something even more permanent. Stronger.
That's the core of her resilience, the strength of her whole enterprise. And it mirrors her business thinking, too. She doesn't bet on trends. She bets on structures.
Like owning masters, real estate.
Owning masters, the real estate investments, building scalable brands like Cécred that are rooted in something deeper, her heritage. She builds slowly, privately, and for resilience. Her products aim to be generational. Her identity isn't tied to being relevant this week. It's tied to integrity, that core, unshakable sense of self and purpose.
Even with really personal trauma, miscarriages, postpartum recovery, burnout, she didn't just spill everything immediately. She chose delayed storytelling.
It's quite remarkable, that level of control. Let the moment pass. Let the wounds heal. Then tell the truth in a way that teaches, not just shocks or exploits the situation for attention. This delay lets her shape the story, not be swept away by it, turn short-term pain into long-term positioning, always thinking about the lasting impact the wisdom gained.
But that approach, it must be incredibly hard to maintain. It demands so much restraint when you're hurting, so much discipline when everyone's judging you, so much vision when you feel vulnerable. You have to go against every instinct for immediate relief or reaction.
Absolutely. It requires this deep belief that how you respond matters more than when you do. It really speaks to her unwavering long-term focus, her profound self-trust, even when things are incredibly tough. That's the quiet strength behind the public power.
So the final big question for the listener, when you face your own crisis, big or small, are you just reacting to survive the moment? Or are you pausing, strategizing, thinking about how to evolve, how to use this challenge to build something stronger for the future?
Because Beyoncé's empire, it isn't strong because it's flawless or avoids problems. It's strong because it's patient, deliberate, deeply intentional. And in a world screaming for the fastest, loudest voice, she built her enduring power by mastering the longest game, knowing when to speak, and maybe even more powerfully, when to stay silent.
She never shouted, never begged, never chased. And yet, Beyoncé became this immense force, culture, business, art, without ever really explaining herself to us. Her journey teaches this radical truth, especially now. The less you reveal, the more control you have.
And the more control you have, the more you can create, the bigger the impact you can ultimately make.
This whole deep dive, it's not really just about fame, is it? It's a masterclass in boundaries, setting them, defending them. It's not about just getting more, it's about choosing better. Not about rising fast, but about being grounded, building that unseen strength so you can rise again and again with purpose, on your own terms.
She didn't just stumble into being an icon. She built herself quietly, intentionally, relentlessly, behind closed doors, in those empty rehearsal rooms, in contract talks nobody ever heard about. And maybe that's the ultimate takeaway.
That real greatness doesn't need to shout.
Doesn't shout, doesn't rush, doesn't ask permission. It just builds in silence. It protects itself with fierce discipline. And it lasts because it was never about the applause. It was answering something deeper. A calling.
So the question for us isn't just, how do I get more successful? Maybe it's, what am I truly willing to protect? My time, my energy, my vision. Protect it fiercely so I can become someone I'll still respect, someone who can make a real difference 20 years from now.
That feels like her ultimate secret, doesn't it? Not the fame, not the numbers, but that unshakable commitment to becoming someone even she wouldn't compromise.
Maybe you've had those moments. When staying silent felt so much harder than speaking out, when walking away felt like failing, when choosing your own peace meant letting someone else down, or defying expectations. We all face those choices, those internal tug-of-wars, but maybe we don't always have the clarity or maybe the courage to make that long-term play, the Beyoncé choice. So I'll ask you, not as a music fan, but as someone building your own life, when was the last time you said no? Not because it was easy, but because it was fundamentally right for your bigger vision. And when was the last time you really protected that vision, even when nobody else got it? Nobody else could see where you were going.
Here, on the deep dive, we don't just skim the surface of success. We try to get into the decisions that define it, those quiet choices that build real, lasting power. Hopefully this gives you something to think about.